hello as my cat knocks into my mic. What's going on, folks? The Jets just lost 23-10 to the Baltimore Ravens. Sorry, I'm scatterbrained because my cat almost knocked over my mic right as we were starting. Welcome back, Jets Prep Press Podcast. I'm Justin Fried. That's Mike Luciano. We're talking about the Jets 23-10 loss to the Baltimore Ravens in week 10 or week 12, excuse me. And they lost. They lost to a better team. I thought there were some encouraging takeaways, and we're going to talk about them in a moment. How you doing, buddy? What's going on?
So you're just not acknowledging the glasses. You're just not going to do it.
What are you talking about?
So yes,
nice glasses, buddy. Nice glasses.
This is the debut of the glasses. Turns out when you go to an eye exam once every 4 years, and then one time you go and you just memorize the things on the chart and don't accurately say if you need what you can see, turns out you may need glasses down the road.
Dude, get out of here, buddy. That is such an on-brand
thing. The cat just refuses to get out of the way of the shot.
That is such an on-brand thing for you, though, that you just memorize the charts
instead
of admitting you need glasses.
I'm driving the other day and it's blurry. I get them because it's all blurry. I could barely see license plates or street lights. It was getting blurry. I'm literally just going on, off because it was such a huge difference. But anyway, now
when you first get glasses, it's exhilarating.
One thing I did see very clearly is the Jets lose to the Baltimore Ravens. No real vitriol, no real piss and vinegar out of me this time. This was a game like the Patriots, we expected them to lose. They did lose, but at this stage of the season, all I'm hoping for is, can you give us a game? And the Jets gave us a game. They were ahead at halftime against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So they just don't have the talent. We'll get into some stuff. Thank you, though, for joining us. You know where to find us: Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. And on YouTube, if you really want to support the show, liking, subscribing, all those things really do help, genuinely. It helps us with the algorithm, boosts us up. The more likes it sees, it promotes it to more Jets fans out there. So let's talk some Jets-Ravens, because originally they were ahead at halftime. They obviously ended up blowing it with a disastrous third quarter where pretty much nothing went right. But the first half, I thought all three phases of the coaching staff, Engstrom, Wilks, Aaron Glenn, thought they all pretty much hit home runs. I thought Glenn had his guys ready to play. I thought a severely undermanned defense, considering the personnel they're going against and the quarterback they're going against, who was clearly hurt. I mean, he was maybe 60% at the best, Lamar Jackson, but was not breaking off on big runs. 3 points allowed. They were getting to him. They had a lot more pressures than the one sack will show. Really, because Zay Flowers was the only guy who could really get open for most of the game. Jets took advantage of that. I know Thomas didn't have a great game. I thought he had some flashes, but he's also a rookie making start, 2 or 3? You got to put up with these things. I still think he's a pretty good player. I'm watching that first half. I'm like, I see it here. And then on offense, you saw why Tyrod went in. The ball was coming out. The receivers were catching the ball. What would have been a Fields 5-yard run on third down suddenly became a Tyrod Taylor pass for a first down. And it's these little things that's why they made the change. Then they just kind of ran out of gas. And you saw some of the problems that are popping up often with this team. Engstrom, I thought, was very up and down. I didn't like how he was running the ball a lot very early on. I thought that he until he had to throw the ball, he didn't throw the ball as much as I wanted him to. Steve Wilks, again, not forcing a turnover. There were some killer penalties that basically gave the Ravens all the momentum they needed. I think Zare had a holding penalty, which was very ticky-tack. Tony Adams, brutal PI. Isaiah Oliver, brutal PI.
Yep.
This is an undermanned, not very talented team that is still playing very hard and is still in these games. And you know what, they lost. So if you're a tank guy, this was a good tank game.
Yes, agreed.
Because players that are going to be here, Brees fumbled. I know that was bad, but players that are going to be here next year played well. They did not get torched against a far superior opponent. And there were signs that once the offense gets a young quarterback, whoever it may be, it'll be better next year. So there were a lot of things where the Jets are not going to win a lot of games this year, but they showed you signs that next year is going to be better, which is all we want right now.
Agreed. This was about as good as a tank game can get. I want to say this really quick. A lot of people are making a big deal about that 4th and 2 decision. The broadcast team kept going on and on and on about it. Kept saying that was the turning point of this game.
Apoplectic.
First thing Glenn has asked in his press conference, he's asked about it. Way too much conversation about a decision that I think was the correct one to go for it there. I think
people are mad because it didn't work.
I think you could pick apart the play calling that led to that point. 3rd and 4, little halfback dive to out of the shotgun to Isaiah Davis.
They love running up the middle on 3rd and mid. They love
Isaiah
it.
Davis
It never works.
with Isaiah Davis, Mike. With that, not even with Breece Hall. Like, they do that a lot with Isaiah Davis, and I don't understand that. I think that probably should be taken out of the playbook, or at least lowered the frequency that they're doing it. But the decision to go for it on 4th down, man, like, you're 14-point road underdogs. It's not like, and again, I know the defense just held them well in the first half. The Ravens came out firing to start the second half. The broadcast team kept talking about how that play, like that decision, was the turning point. No, the turning point was halftime, because the Ravens' first drive of that game, they looked awesome offensively. They had an answer for everything the Jets were trying to throw at them defensively. The offensive line woke up and was playing well. Lamar made some nice passes. They had a 3rd down conversion to Hopkins, where it's a nice play. That was the turning point. And I think Glenn and the Jets kind of saw that, and they're like, okay, if we punt this ball back to Baltimore, there's a good chance they drive down the field and score anyway. We're facing a 4th and 2 at, not quite at midfield yet, but close to it. I think their own 42 or whatever it was. And again, you're 14-point underdogs in a game where you're 2-8.
And pretty much every drive they had gotten the ball into Ravens territory at some, but then there were some sacks and some bad play calls. But they moved the ball, I think, better than I thought they would.
They did.
Large against this defense, which is much improved from what it was.
They did. If you're looking at big picture takeaways, because I don't think there are many big picture takeaways in this game. I think the Jets were just a worse team, right, overall, but they hung in there for strong in the first half. I thought the staff did some good things. I think this was one of the few games I would say this year where the Jets were beat on special teams. I thought Jordan Stout had a ridiculous game for the Ravens. The Ravens were consistently in the second half, winning the field position battle. They did a good job keeping the ball out of Kene Nwangwu's hands. He only got one return, and it was late in the game when it really didn't matter. Not that Isaiah Williams did a bad job, but we know how special the player Kene Nwangwu is. I thought the Ravens won the battle there. The Jets' pass rush was not very good for most of this game, and that continues to be an Achilles heel of this team, as well as, like you said, Mike, the penalties on the back end. That was a problem. It's hard to pinpoint like specific players here and there. There was a really bad one on Tony Adams where it was just like, buddy, what are we doing? It's one-on-one with Zay Flowers, and he drags him down at the goal line well before the ball's getting there. There was one on Isaiah Oliver that you pointed out. I thought A.Z. Thomas had a very subpar game. It could have been even worse had Lamar completed that touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, where Hopkins kind of toasted him in the end zone, and Jackson just missed him.
Welcome to the league, man. That was one of those.
Overall, a bigger takeaway is I do think the decision to start Tyrod Taylor was not only the correct one at the time, but it proved to be correct in this game. I know the Jets only scored 10 points, but Tyrod Taylor was able to complete the layups. He was able to do the easy stuff. He was able to be remotely composed in the face of pressure. And I thought he even took a couple of deep shots when they warranted one. He took one to Adonai Mitchell that Mitchell was nearly able to haul in, might have pushed off on the defender that they didn't call. But I thought Taylor played a fine game that you'd expect from Tyrod Taylor. He is not a good NFL quarterback. He is not a starting caliber NFL quarterback. So expecting above that is asking too much. But
hey, got better than Justin Fields play.
You did. There were a couple of plays in this game as well in that one drive where 3rd and 8, and he's able to stiff arm. I think it was Trenton Simpson, the linebacker, and just somehow force his way to the first down marker. And then a few plays later on that drive, spins out of a sack, scrambles out to his left, and finds Adonai Mitchell for like a 26-yard gain or whatever it was. That was some very nice stuff from Tyrod Taylor, and you really haven't gotten that much from Fields over the last month and a half, or really for the majority of this season.
Fields would have run that ball for 4 yards, and that would have been it.
Right. And then even the John Mechie touchdown throw, it's heavy pressure in his face. The Jets do a decent job picking it up, but they're still a free rusher. Taylor is able to stay composed, find John Mechie, who created separation as he did for a lot of the game. And if we're talking big picture takeaways, we could talk about Mechie in a moment, but yeah, I thought Taylor did remotely all right with what he was given, and clearly gives the Jets a better chance to not only win football games, but more importantly, to evaluate the talent on their roster. I think we had a better opportunity to evaluate what a Tanner Engstrand offense kind of looks like in this game. Now, I do think they were still scheming around Taylor a bit, and I don't think Engstrand fully trusted Taylor, but it got to a point, I think it was a point in the second quarter when the passing game started to get going. I think Engstrand kind of realized, oh, okay, we can open up the playbook a little bit more here. We can take I don't even want to say take shots, but we can rely on Taylor to make the underneath passes. And if there's a ball, if there's an opportunity not there downfield, he will check it down. Breece Hall got very involved in the passing game in this one. And I think a lot of it is just, he had a quarterback that was willing to check it down to him. I think Hall had one targeted or one like design target on the entire game, right? They had the one screen pass that was very successful that Joe Tippmann depleted a guy. But outside of that, it was
on that drive, which
yes, and then he fumbled. But outside of that, it was a lot of underneath checkdowns, right? And that's just something that Fields has not been doing. So I think people are going to look at that.
It's funny because you'd think, looking at how he plays in his stats, you'd think he'd be checking down all game, but he doesn't even do that.
He's afraid to throw checkdowns, Mike. He's afraid to throw it. Like it's just been debilitating. It's been debilitating offensive quarterback.
Fields has needed somebody's whole career to be college open and not pro open.
And even when they are,
when a guy's pro open,
and even when they are this year, as we've seen, he'll still throw it late. That's why Garrett Wilson isn't playing football right now. Like that's because of Justin Fields. So I don't want to harp on the guy. Like he didn't play in this game. I don't want to shit on too much, but there's the reason the Jets made that decision. And yeah, you could look at the final score and say they only scored 10 points, but if you actually watch the game, like I feel like it's fairly easy to understand the difference in quarterback play between Taylor and Fields. Again, that's not saying Taylor is good, but he gives you a better chance to evaluate your young receivers like John Mechie, like Adonai Mitchell, who I think both did some nice things today.
Some quick updates for you about the draft order right now. So the Giants and Lions are in overtime. Jahmyr Gibbs just had a 70-yard touchdown run on the first play overtime.
Oh, my goodness. Not for a touchdown? Not for a touchdown?
For a touchdown.
Okay.
So there's that. And then the Browns-Raiders Tank Bowl, the Raiders had a special teams penalty that gave the Browns the ball at about the 15, and Judkins just ran it in for a touchdown. So the Browns are up.
Well, that game just started, right? Yeah,
that game just started, but I'm just giving you that's the state of the Jets union right now.
No, that's good. Those are good updates.
And the Titans lost too.
Who are you rooting for with Ravens or with Raiders Browns?
I think
Raiders have the
Browns are going to take a quarterback. I just don't know with which pick.
I think the strength of schedule, the Raiders have a much harder strength of schedule, I believe, which would favor the Jets if they're picking. Like, I think we want the Browns to win, I think would be the better.
I also think the Raiders, though, I think have a worse roster. So I think they may be more inclined to just go BPA and build up a really good roster and then maybe take the quarterback next year.
Yeah, the Raiders strength of schedule you could argue that. It depends on what they do with Carroll. But yeah, I think with strength of schedule wise, you probably want the Raiders to win this game. Or I'm sorry, the Browns to win this game. Because their strength of schedule is most likely going to be less than the Jets, lower than the Jets. So they would probably get the tiebreaker there. And, of course, the Jets beat the Browns.
Let's talk about some wide receivers, too. Bengals, by the way, have it fourth down at the Patriots 26, down by 6 with 23 seconds left. So that
they're good. I think Flacco is playing really well.
I saw him throw the worst pick six ever in that game.
Well, I think outside of that,
it was funny because he had Chase Brown in the flat and he pumps, and you could see clearly he's trying to throw it, and the guy just broke on it. The second the ball hits the Patriots defender's hands, he just stands like this. He's like,
of course, what's he gonna do?
And Flacco threw incomplete, and the Patriots win, of course. So.
Really quick before we get into the wide receivers, this is a very fair point. It's as Brandon R says on YouTube, it's very difficult to win with no turnovers. One of our wins, we had 2 special team touchdowns to supplement one of the wins. That is the biggest reason outside of the quarterback play that the Jets' margin for error is
which is funny because I believe there was that stat going around that they're 5th or 6th in the league in passes broken up this year. And you gotta wonder. Like, I mean, some of it's bad luck, but
some of it's definitely bad luck. But you can't just throw your hands up and say it's all bad luck. I think part of it is pass rush is bad. They're not creating consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Creating pressure on quarterbacks not just gets you an opportunity for sacks, but it creates a lot of chaos and can create turnovers. Not just when it comes to fumbles or strip sacks, but you're also forcing the quarterback to make decisions quicker than they want to, and that could lead to interception. So the lack of a pass rush, I think, is partially responsible for that. You could also point to the fact that I don't think the Jets defense has a lot of guys who make plays. They don't have a lot of playmakers, especially in their secondary. So I think those two things you probably point to.
They have 3 corners whose whole style is be physical, beat you up at the line. Thomas, Stevens, and Brownlee, especially.
And to be fair, they're both very good at playing that. They're all 3 of them are playing very good at playing that style.
The problem though is Stevens and Brownlee, like Ed Reedy, ball hawk safeties.
Yes, that is. Like, and I've said this before, they're not going to draft Caleb Downs because the optics of drafting a safety top 10, given what they need. They need him badly. They can't do it. But holy shit, would that like transform?
And I'm not even because Malachi Moore, I think, played pretty well this year for being a late 4th round rookie thrust into the starting role. I agree. But like they have 5 guys who are not great turnover generators, good cover guys, but just can't. Get the picks that you need. And they get Sauce for most of the year on top of that too. That's his whole MO.
The two biggest needs for this Jets defense, I'm not even going to say positions, I'm just going to say archetype. They need a defensive back who can create turnovers, preferably a safety. That's what I would say. Somebody to take that Andre Sisco, Tony Adams role, right? Where you're just getting a guy who can ball hawk and create turnovers. Who Cisco was kind of supposed to be that, obviously on a bargain deal, but Cisco was supposed to be that guy that can create turnovers, and he didn't do shit. You need that, and you need another pass rusher. You need, whether it's an interior or an edge guy. Well, you need a lead. Obviously, you need multiple. But I'm saying, like, just you need a somebody who can consistently win one-on-one reps, whether that's in the interior or whether it's on the edge. Because Will McDonald ain't doing that.
He does it once every 5 games. He goes nuts.
He doesn't do it well. He doesn't do it consistently. You need a guy that can consistently do that. And if you don't have one guy that can do it, you need to get a bunch of guys in there so that you have faith in your rotation that you can consistently do it. Because the Jets defense next year cannot survive with the pressure that they create on a weekly basis this year.
Even if they get in free agency, like, I don't know, like a Quiddy Pay kind of thing. And then you have him, Jermaine, and Will McDonald. That's actually a defensive line that you can, because McDonald's not going to be playing all the run defense snaps. Like, that's a defensive line I can, and then maybe a second round pick, one of the second round picks is also used. This is a very deep draft for pass rushers. It's a very good pass rusher draft. Yeah. So I think you do that, this defense is looking totally different. But wide receivers now. Mm-hmm. Adonai Mitchell may end up, he's certainly the more talented player. He may end up better. Currently, John Mechie is better. And John Mechie, I think, in this game had more production than I thought he was going to have the entire year. I thought that this was just get a player, an asset back in the Michael Carter trade. Getting off Carter's contract was the big part. Darren Muji, not a perfect GM. If he identifies a play, except for Mozzie Smith, who's already inactive, they just gave up on him already. But most of the time, if he identifies a guy, Mozzie felt like a throw-in. John Mechie felt more like, let's genuinely see if we can work with this guy. Mechie has been so impressive. He clearly is on the same page with Tyrod Taylor, which he's a little more experienced than Mitchell. I think that might be part of it. Mitchell, I think, didn't have any drops today. I thought he moves for a guy that big very well, as we saw when he was making guys miss on that little scramble drill by Tyrod.
He's erratic is the best way I could describe
Adonai Mitchell. I don't want to say he's going to get somebody fired, but like, because he's a wide receiver, but some offensive coach is going to probably go crazy trying to figure out ways to make this guy work. And he may end up working, but you see it a little bit.
You see
why am I bringing all that up? Well, and Arian Smith, I think, didn't really do anything. But why am I bringing all that up? Because I think going into next year, because Mechie's a restricted free agent, I think the Jets can roll with a top 5, and they have 3. They need 5 receivers. Smith, I don't think factors in at this point, which I think is a little disappointing. But I think they have.
Not shocking, but disappointing. Not shocking, but disappointing.
Justin, I have the chart. I'll show you the chart.
I don't get. Can you catch passes on a chart? Right?
Did Deontay Johnson catch passes on the chart?
Can you? Deontay Johnson was a 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL. What the fuck is that?
I guess because it's just you are genuinely more like, or generally more.
Can you get open?
Willing to give guys who can separate chances, except for Arian Smith.
Well, that's why I'm high on Adonai Mitchell, or at least higher on Adonai Mitchell than Arian Smith. Arian Smith was not a good wide receiver at Georgia. Like, that's the problem, Mike. It's not like he was even like a 3rd, 4th round prospect. This was an undrafted caliber prospect who, even if he the way he separates is different. He doesn't separate because he's a good route runner. He separates because he's fast, which that can work when you're running in a straight line at Georgia. It's not going to work in the NFL. I like John Mechie and Adonai Mitchell because they can separate consistently as route runners, just because of their
going
speed.
Into next year, before you get on your point, if they have 5 receivers, Garrett Wilson's 1. I think Mechie and Mitchell are going to be fighting there. And then I think if you add in a veteran, and I think if you add in a draft pick, I think that's your 5, and that's a good receiver room.
Yeah, and then whatever you can get from Arian Smith, Isaiah Williams, whatever, if you want to bring back Tyler Johnson, whoever, right? Clearly wide receiver is still a massive need in the offseason, and they desperately need a wide receiver too, because I don't think Mechie is that. I definitely don't think Adonai Mitchell is that right now, but what I like about Mechie and Mitchell the most is they really complement each other's skill sets. Like, it feels like there was a plan with bringing both of those guys in here, and the Jets had a very clear plan for how they want to implement them in their offense, and that's kind of evidenced by the fact that they're already wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. Now, I know this was a barren wide receiver room that they joined. Garrett Wilson's hurt. Josh Reynolds is out as well. That's something we haven't really talked about as much, and Tyler Johnson and Al Lazard, whoever else you're trotting out there, Isaiah Williams, those are not really NFL caliber receivers that should be getting significant snaps. But I like that there was a plan for them. And I think Mechie specifically has a chance to carve out a role as wide receiver 3 next year. Like, I think he could be your slot guy, right? If you want to say Garrett is, I think in an ideal world, you bring in a big-bodied complement that could be the X
Denzel
receiver.
Boston, Jacoby Lane.
Right. You have Garrett as the Z, and then you have Mechie in the slot. I think that's probably the best you can do with this offense. Like, I like that you bring up like Boston, because that's somebody you can go in the second round and draft, right? Denzel Boston,
Chris
probably
Bell, maybe. There's a lot. This draft isn't very.
Sure.
They got, I think, Jordan Tyson at the top, but this draft, in picks like maybe 20-ish to like 45, there might be like 8-9 receivers. That's the sweet spot.
Yes, and that's Carnell Tate's probably going to be, top 20 pick at this point, but I think Carnell Tate would be such a good fit for what they're trying to do on offense. That's kind of him and Tyson are my dream targets. I love Mekhi Lemon. I would lean for the Jets going for more Tyson and going for more Tate. I just think Lemon is too similar to Garrett Wilson. Is that a fair thing to say? I think.
Are you kind of, I guess, moving away from, or does Mitchell and Mechie impact your thoughts on maybe signing a guy in an admittedly thin receiver class?
That's the problem is who are they going to sign? Like, if you're looking at, I want to pull this up right now because it's not a very
I know you're going to keep harping on he's my guy, but I really think it might be Jawan Jennings or bust. I think he's the guy that would make a ton of sense in that role.
If they can get Jennings at a reasonable price, I would absolutely be down for that. Outside of that, you're looking at Mike Evans is not going anywhere. No. He's retiring a buck. Christian Kirk, I have no interest in really. Debo, I doubt Debo's probably staying in Washington.
Even then, Debo, you gotta
not what the Jets are looking for.
So I love Jacoby Myers. Debo, and I just don't.
I love Jacoby Myers. He's probably going to get re-upped by Jacksonville since they re-signed him.
He's also just 80% of Wilson, so.
Correct. And if not, I think he's a little redundant skill set wise, and he's probably going to cost a lot of money. And then outside of that, you're looking at Juwan Jennings. You're looking at a Diami Brown flyer. And that's really the only guys that are I think I'd be okay with Diami Brown on a flyer, but that's you. If you sign Diami Brown, you're drafting.
He seems like fans are going to immediately hate him because the minute he makes a bad play, it's why aren't you playing this guy? I feel like that's going to be one of those.
I would get the vision with that, but you still got to draft the wide receiver in the top.
One of the 4 picks they
your big signing is Diami Brown. Keenan Allen, I doubt. I mean, again, he's having a really good year, honestly, for the Chargers, but probably going to stay there at that point. And I don't know. You also can't really trust him to stay healthy. The ghost of DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, it's not great. So yeah, I think
if when the Jets need receivers, it's the thin receiver year. Of course,
it's hard to find a good wide receiver in free agency. It's tough. It's a position
most teams draft and develop their own, except for the Jets.
Correct. Well,
they got one Garrett.
They got one Garrett, and they got to add a second one this year. I think that's probably what the plan is. But I think Mechie has a chance to. I mean. Look, I don't want to start making comps that he can't live up to, but I could see him being a Khalil Shakir for this offense. I could see that. And Khalil Shakir is a damn good player.
Oh my, yes.
Right? If you can get that,
he's been my guy his whole career.
He's awesome. He's an awesome football player. And if you can get even
Mechie's a little bigger though, isn't he? Than Shakir?
He is a little bigger, but they're kind of using him a lot in that. I mean, maybe he could do some more stuff downfield. I don't know. They're not using him at all downfield, but
Alabama did and Houston did. I feel like he's almost kind of evolving a little bit with the Jets.
He is, and I wonder how much of that is because of the ACL, right? And how much he's not really fully regained that same explosiveness post ACL. And also, look, man, he missed a year of his career due to leukemia. It's really tough. And he spoke about this in an interview, I think, with the Post this week. It's tough to shake off the rust. And it's basically, he said, it's like learning to walk all over again, right? And combine that with the fact that he's really not been given many opportunities over the last few years since he came back. Maybe this is what he needed, right? He's getting
Mitchell, for whatever it's worth, had an opportunity, and I guess he kind of lost it to a degree.
Yes, Mitchell
didn't really get that.
Mitchell had the opportunity in Indianapolis, and I thought he did remotely well with it. He did reasonably all right, and then he ended up in the doghouse because of a costly blunder that, in my opinion, has nothing to do with him as a football player. It's just he made a mental error, made a mistake. You see the vision with Adonai Mitchell. He's still rough around the edges. Again, the way I'd describe him is he's an erratic football player. He's erratic with the ball in his hands. He's erratic without the ball in his hands. And I think you just need to really fine tune him. The one thing I would point to is I'd like to see him fight for some of these balls that are, he did a good job fighting for the one that was double coverage, kind of thrown towards the sideline. Probably fought a little too much. Probably should have been offensive pass interference. They just never call that. Shout out Ben Solak on Twitter, #always commit OPI, because the refs never call it. But I'd like to see him show a little bit of fight in
He
some
called
of
they
these.
would have called it.
Honestly, you're probably right. Which is so dumb. Like, why is the game being called that way? That's so ridiculous. But you see the vision with him.
Really quick, Jeff with an update. The Giants lost in overtime, so.
Well, again, they're not going to take a quarterback.
They're not going to take a quarterback. So
they're not going to take a quarterback. I still think they win another couple of games.
They could be a team that would look to trade down, though, for. And I really don't think they would trade.
Now,
like,
actually,
I know they're not really rivals.
Now, strength of schedule.
Feel free to.
I was going to say strength of schedule tiebreaker. Sorry, my bad. Strength of schedule tiebreaker. The Jets do have that over the Giants. They both have 2 wins or loss, but the Jets would have the strength of schedule tiebreaker over the Giants.
The thing, though, is I feel like they're not really rivals, but would the Giants deny the Jets an opportunity to trade up for a quarterback because it's New York? I don't know. That might be.
I would think
you want to gift the other team in the building the quarterback? I don't know.
I would think if the Jets offer the best package, I think it would be malpractice by the Giants to not take it. I think that would be silly.
Well, it's like one of those things where you don't normally trade in the division. Do you normally do Giants? Leonard Williams is division, like the only time, really.
The division directly impacts your success. If you are giving your division rival a good player, that player is going to face you twice a year. You could conceivably lose games because of that. You're playing the Jets once a year or once every 4 years, right? Like, I know the optics surrounding it, and I think the media is like the reason they would not do it, but I think a good GM makes that decision. I think a good GM doesn't care.
So let's go get to some comments. Tony Alexio, unleash Brady Cook. After this game, really?
No. No. The Jets offense, it looks
Now you want to get rid of him?
Again, given the way that, look, Tyrod took a lot of hits in this game in the second half. He was banged up. You're going to see Brady Cook at some point. I promise you. It's going to happen. Obviously, Fields is still QB2 right now, but you're going to see Cook at some point.
Mustard Overlord. The Brees fumble was my fault. I was against him in fantasy, and on that run, I found myself rooting for him not to get into the end zone. I am history's greatest monster.
I was facing Derrick Henry in fantasy today, and I was pretty upset that he got those 2 touchdowns. I was really worried he was going to get a third garbage time touchdown on that when they were going for it or pretending to go for it on 4th down at like the end of the game. I'm like, if he scores here, I'm throwing fists.
The other guy in my head, Emmanuel Wilson, and then I saw there was just like another JSN deep shot. I'm like, all right, I don't have to worry about this week already. That's so.
You have JSN?
I have against JSN, yeah. Brandon R. I don't want to see any more 3rd down draws.
And some of that was Taylor. Like Taylor checked in. It was a 3rd and 7 run that they had early in the first half, and that was Taylor checked into it. I don't know what the process is there for him to check into it. I'm sure it's something that he read in the defense, and the Jets probably have a built-in, audible there that he can just check into a draw if he sees a certain alignment with the defense. But yeah, man, Taylor checked out of a couple plays in the first half, and both of them resulted in a win for the defense. So maybe they gotta. I don't know if that's a Taylor decision or if that, I don't know if that's a Taylor problem or if it's an offensive preparation problem, but they got to figure that stuff out.
Mustard Overlord. I know he's a rookie, but I'm a little worried about AZ Thomas's lack of deep speed. Well, that's why he was even there in the 3rd round. Was that concern?
It's definitely his Achilles heel. Like that's
he does so much else well. He's just not that fast.
He's going to have to overcome that. And like I've said in the past, I think if you get a rangy free safety in this defense, it'll make these corners look even like a lot better. It'll make them look a lot better because teams will be a little more wary of throwing these deep shots. Right now, what's the reason not to throw? If you have a one-on-one deep shot,
nobody can get home, so they're always going to have protection.
Right. If you have a one-on-one deep shot against Brandon Stevens or Azaria Thomas, why the hell
you're not picking it off? Right? What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. What's the downside? There's like, I would say a 65% chance it's either going to be caught or going to be a defensive penalty. And the downside is what? Incomplete pass? It's not going to be intercepted. You might as well take those shots. You have to get a guy in there on defense that can penalize those teams and punish those teams for taking those shots, whether it's a pass rusher who can make you pay for holding on to the ball too long, which the Jets don't have right now consistently, or a safety over the top that can create turnovers. The Jets don't have.
They have Tony Adams.
They have Tony Adams and Michael.
Do you see that tweet going around about like the Jets' last 10 interceptions, and it was all like Ashton Davis and Brandon Eccles and
Weirdly, like Ashton Davis would be a much better starting safety than Tony Adams right now. Like, I don't even think it's close. And I don't think Adams is like necessarily a significantly worse player, but for what this Jets defense needs, they just need guys that can do
And
that.
they're not even he's starting again with the Dolphins. They're starting him now. So.
Yeah, he's been starting for Miami. I mean, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement, but
I just remember there was for some reason I can't remember, it was some draft Twitter guy, and he had very contrarian opinions, like guys not Daniel Kelly, but like he would have guys that everybody had in the first round and the fourth round and stuff like that. Like,
sure.
For some reason, his number one player in the draft that year was Ashton Davis. And I'm like,
number one
in everybody.
The entire draft. He must love athleticism.
I'm like, what? How do you even? Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that was Joe Burrow at number one that year.
If that was that was
Burrow, Herbert, Chase Young was like a freak at the time. Derek Brown.
Look, if it was a 40-yard dash, if it was a track competition, then maybe
it was. I just remember that. I don't know whatever happened to that guy, but I remember that.
I don't know.
Vinicius Cristello, feel like we fumble on the goal line a lot.
The Jets just do a lot of things
bad teams do because they're a bad team.
That bad teams do that lose them games. It's a mentality thing. It's a psyche thing. That's why winning games does matter and is important. And I don't want the Jets to go 2-13 or 2-14 or 2-15. Like I think obviously you want to get a quarterback, but
also if they're losing like this, it's not like
no, I'm not upset that they lost this.
It's not like they're losing like Buffalo every week. They're losing respectably, I guess.
The Jets haven't had a true stinker in a few weeks now. Like it was not a stinker, I would say, against New England. It was not a stinker against Baltimore. It's really been since. I mean, the Cowboys game was bad.
That Dallas was probably the last one, and even then, like that was mostly just because of their defense at the time.
Carolina, Denver, you could point to Fields being a problem. I would say that the Denver game, though, was a poorly coached game.
But also, if they had basically everybody except Fields and apparently J.J. McCarthy, if any other quarterback except those two are playing, they probably win that.
And I point to the coach for not taking out Fields in that game. Like that, I think Denver was on this coaching staff. I wouldn't say Carolina. Carolina, to an extent, was also on the coaching staff. But since those games, but look, it's a low bar, I know. 4 games in a row that I don't think I'm pointing fingers at the staff after the game, and I think there's been.
If you're still here, slow runner, you have to defend your argument here. Glenn is a joke as a head coach, and Brees spelled incorrectly because he couldn't even get that right. Fumbled at the worst time. Man. How was Glenn a joke of a head coach in this game?
He's probably going to say the 4th.
They're beating Lamar Jackson at halftime, dude, with no pass rush. By the way, Jawan Briggs, what a find, Darren Muji.
Jawan Briggs,
he was the best player today defensively.
I thought, who would rival him? I thought Harrison Phillips might have been as well. I thought Harrison Phillips was awesome in this game. He had a few run stops that they didn't end up really mattering too much on those drives, but they were really, really impressive plays. He drew a holding penalty on that Keaton Mitchell 35-yard run that was called back. I thought Phillips was excellent. And he's playing through a pretty significant foot injury, an injury that had him in a walking boot. And 2 days later, he was playing a football.
I just hope
so. Shout out Harrison
because Douglas had great evaluation skills for a lot of positions, except O-line and quarterback. At least Muji came in with the O-line built, but
ultimately nothing we say is going to matter unless the Jets get a quarterback. Like it's just the fact of the matter. It doesn't matter. Like if they sign Jawan Jennings or Dammy Brown, it doesn't matter if they don't have someone to throw him the ball.
Brian Sternbeck, John Mechie had 65 yards receiving today. That's the most yardage in a single game by any Jets receiver not named Garrett Wilson this season. He narrowly beat out Tyler Johnson 64 yards against the Bengals.
And then Johnson was, of course,
and then he never played again.
And I think the reason that Lazard was active today is because they mentioned this on the broadcast too. Taylor really likes throwing at Lazard. They had chemistry, I guess, in the summer, and the Jets saw that and they wanted Lazard. I don't even think it was a blocking thing. I think it was specifically that.
Taylor was like, "Hey, give me Lazard over." Okay.
Lazard got targeted once. Lazard got targeted once in this game.
It was right at the end.
So it's not like. Right now, you led to much, but
the Jets have possessed the ball. This is a problem that they got to work out legitimately. Brian Sternbeck. They possess the ball with between 1 and 2 minutes left in the season. In the first half, 8 times. They have 2 field goals and 0 touchdowns on those 8 possessions. Granted, a lot of them came with Fields, so
yeah. Well, just the personnel is just not built for a 2-minute offense. It's just not. Like they don't have the offense for it. And maybe you could point to Engstrom for that. Maybe there's more they could be doing. But again, just given the receivers that they're working with and given the quarterback that they have, it's tough. It is really tough. Maybe you just try and get more manufactured touches for your best playmakers like Brees, because their explosiveness is really it's solely tied to Brees. There's really not, with Garrett out, there's no other way for this Jets offense to create explosive plays other than either a long Brees run where, the blocking does its thing and Brees makes a guy miss, or like we just saw in this game where he turns a little, dump off into a 40-yard catch and run because he's just a ridiculous playmaker. Like, I think that's the only way is that they can create explosive plays on offense. And it's really hard to have a 2-minute drill when you can't create explosive
Browns
plays.
are up 14-0, by the way.
Good. That's a good thing.
Judkins ran for 2 touchdowns, but Shedeur had a deep shot apparently. So,
hey, Shedeur.
Yeah.
Shedeur.
It's going to be infuriating. Like, oh, look what happens when he gets reps. I'm like,
dude, I gotta see Josina's Twitter after this. Josina Anderson is probably loving this.
Remember when he went 4 of 16 in a game? Yes. I've never heard the distribution of backup quarterback reps ever as a topic in my entire life until this.
What did she? What about the against all odds dump off for 4 yards to Jerry Jeudy? What about that one?
The one where I think he threw it to Fannin, where he was like, there wasn't even anybody else on the screen. It was like, look at this throw. I'm like, he's the only guy on the screen. Streveler might make that throw. Debatable.
Yeah, Chris Streveler. Shout out Chris
Debatable. That Uzama throw is still the funniest play I've ever seen.
Dude, I was there for that game in person, and I've never heard a stadium erupt with excitement before a ball's thrown, by the way. Like, everyone was freaking out because he was just so open. You will rarely ever see NFL players that open in a game, and then the just stadium deflated when they saw the pass. It was like, oh my God.
It's like when you ever watch like a war movie when they drop bombs. It's like, you hear it going down.
Yeah, pretty much. Super excitement. It was like so excited. Like, everyone was so excited, and then the throw happened.
Draft order 2. Saints are down 3-0. Tyler Shuck lost a fumble in Falcons territory. So,
we don't like Shuck.
We want Shuck to be good. We don't want to.
Yeah, we are leaders of the Tyler Shuck fan club.
We are. So let's go now to Mustard Overlord. Doesn't it feel like the other team is always receiving to start the second half?
I guess
Glenn does take the ball a lot to start.
This Ravens won the coin toss today. So.
Jeff, any news how on Chris Boyd is doing? I think he's doing better. So,
yeah, I believe he's been released from the hospital. I think so, at least. It was stable condition was the last we'd heard. Obviously, we haven't gotten to talk about very scary situation. Very happy everyone's okay. I believe there were a couple other Jets players that were there at the scene. I'm very glad. Irv Charles, I think Sherwood was there too. Glad that everyone is doing all right, and that it just seems like a rotten situation, right? But puts things in perspective. Happy that Chris Boyd, who's a new father, by the way, is doing all right, and that everyone is okay.
Too much tragic. Mangold, Marshawn Nealon, just too many. Yeah. Brian Sternbeck, sorry if I missed it. What's our temperature on George Pickens?
Dallas is
They're paying him a lot of money. He's the highest paid wide receiver 2 in the league.
If they can't find a deal, they're gonna tag him. I would be shocked if the Cowboys let Pickens go. Now, if they do let him go, look, man, I know the baggage.
I haven't heard a lot of it this year, though.
I know. My fear is once he gets paid, it's kind of going to revert, but I don't want to be that way. But
especially on the Jets if they're bad.
He just oh my God, yeah. But also, how do you not take a chance on that? With all the money you have to spend, if he was somehow in free agency, and again,
we're talking about guys.
That's the X receiver. Like, we're talking, maybe they could sign Diami Brown. No, if George Pickens is on the market, I don't care about the baggage. It totally might blow up in their faces.
Yeah.
I
fully on a scale of 1 to 10 on the Muhammad Wilkerson scale, where do you think Pickens is?
I'd be like an 8.5. I'd be real, because it's just like you've seen the maturity concerns his entire career. If you sign him, he's on a bad team. God forbid the quarterback.
Oh yeah, rookie quarterback too.
And he just got
yelling at him and freaking out.
Oh, brother. It could get ugly, but also I'd still probably sign him.
See, the weird thing though too is like Tomlin always had this players coach reputation, and then Schottenheimer, I don't know what he was, but he was acting out with Tomlin. He hasn't really been with. I mean, he got he got benched. I mean, that was like he missed a curfew because he got a time wrong. That's not like he got mad at a coach or threw something or anything like that.
I think it's a few things, and I'm not in that locker room, so I don't know. But I think it's first and foremost, he's trying to get paid. Like, he knows he needs to get paid. He knows he can't be acting like an idiot. He knows
contract your stuff.
Number 2, I do think there's some with Schottenheimer. I think Schottenheimer has really won over that locker room and actually done a very good job in a tough situation. He was kind of a guy people looked at as a lame duck
happened in the middle of the year.
Yes, and then I think it's 3. I think he's got a good relationship with CD.
I think being on the Cowboys helps too.
It does. They just had that situation where they got into trouble or something like that. But I remember I saw the Colin Cowherd take. You know what it was? You know what I'm talking about? Where him and CD and Pickens they were disciplined. They were benched, but they were both benched together, and they did
They were
something
both out
off the field.
together. Yeah, they were.
Right. And Colin Cowherd actually, I thought, had a really funny but also good take on it. It was like, well, at least they did it together. Like, at least they're getting into trouble off the field, but they're showing togetherness because they clearly have a good bond off the field. And I was like, low key, Colin, you're kind of cooking. Like, that's not a bad take.
He does pick and choose, because I remember he was giving Shador Sand. He's like, oh, he's immature, but he goes, why? He goes, well, he got speeding tickets. I'm like, all right, yeah, nobody's ever got a speeding ticket.
This is not a pro Colin Cowherd as an overall statement take.
He also hates Glenn, by the way. He's like, they should fire Glenn immediately. Whatever. He's watching.
I don't care about his other takes. I just thought this one specifically. I'm like, that one, you know what? That's a fair take. I think Pickens genuinely likes CD, and I think he likes Dak, and I think he likes Schottenheimer, and he's trying to get paid. I think that's why he's been on his best behavior. But yeah, if you put him on this Jets team right now, and you gave him like a $25 million contract a year or $30 million, whatever he's gonna get, I don't think,
especially too, if because he'll be paid similarly to Garrett Wilson, and then there's going to be
but you still make the move. Like, you still go around that market if he's on the market. I just don't think he's gonna be. I think Dallas.
I'm looking too at the edges for 2026.
Free agency edges.
Trey Hendrickson, he's not going to sign with the Jets. No. It's not Leonard Floyd, Yetur Gross-Matos, Draymond Jones. This is not a great class.
Wait, Mike. Hassan Reddick's
yes, he is.
He's a guy. He's a really good pass rusher. They should bring him in.
Odafe Owe, that might actually be. I could see that happening.
Odafe Owe would be interesting. He's got
North
some
Jersey
juice.
guy too. Arnold Ebiketie, I could see.
You shouted out Kwity Paye before. I think that's a signing.
That's my guy. Not like he's going to be dominant. I just think like timeline wise, style wise, he kind of fits, and he won't be insanely expensive.
Dude, K'Lavon Chasen is still only 26.
Yeah, he came in. I think he did some reclassifying. It was like a Tremaine Edmonds thing where he came in super young.
I feel like he's been in the league 8 years. How is he only 26?
Wasn't the Texans drafted guy was 19 once?
Maybe. I know Daniil Hunter was basically a teenager.
The same sort of thing, I think, with him.
Yeah.
I mean, never got Boye Mafe. I don't know if I'd want.
I love the player. I know the injuries, man. I want Marcus Davenport to be healthy. I wouldn't. I
feel like this is what year 9 we're going on.
I know, man, but still,
that could have been a take 3 years ago, but I don't know.
And I would have been saying the same thing. Yeah.
So I'm looking at here the top 3 of edges I would probably want for this Jets team specifically.
I like Ebiketie. Did you
mention I did. I think he's number 3. Yeah, I'd probably say Odafe Owe is 2 and Kwity Paye is 1.
I think Ebiketie definitely walks. I think Atlanta was fielding offers for.
I mean, when they drafted Jalen Walker and Pierce anyway, they kind of made their bed there.
Correct. I think he'll be a free agent for sure. Kwity Paye. I don't know what the situation is with him in Indy.
Their pass rush isn't good anyway.
If they're looking to re-sign him or not, but if he isn't,
they're probably going to keep Latu. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to draft pass rushers. Well, they don't have their first this year, but when they get their second, they're probably going to draft some guys. They have a ton of cap space.
And I think the Jets still obviously need to beef up their interior too in the offseason. I like Briggs and Phillips. They absolutely should. I think in an ideal world, and which it was before you traded Quinn, but we're not disagreeing with that trade. I think in an ideal world, Phillips and Briggs are your rotational second and third defensive tackles. I mean, maybe Briggs at this point could force his way into a starting role.
You absolutely can start the year, in my opinion, with Harrison Phillips and Juwan Briggs as your 2 starting defensive tackles in the line.
Well, they're going to have to. I think they're going to. Unless they draft one in a top 50.
I will say though, if they use the Colts pick on a Caleb Banks, I wouldn't hate that. Wouldn't hate that
either. Again, you need to just improve the D line.
You think there's a chance that your pass Colin Saunders impresses enough for them to give him another 1-year thing, or because he gets to the quarterback more than those two do. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance, but he's also 29, there's not, I don't think there's much of a ceiling with that signing. I think it's just a body that they're hoping is
not hard to do.
Smith, which fair.
Not really hard to do, right? They're hoping so big on player development, and they give guys lots of chances. We always said Aaron Glenn, almost to a fault, likes coaching up young players. They played him in 2 games. They're like, all right, we're done with him. Just immediately gave up on him.
Well, him and Tyler Barron are kind of two guys that they looked at pretty quickly, and they're like, these
At
guys
least
can't
Barron
play.
they gave.
And I hate to
like
say
Barron
it,
was a late draft pick and all that. Mozzie they acquired in a Quentin Williams trade. They're like, oh, maybe we got him, and then 2 games in, they're like, nope.
I hate to say it as well. I think Arian Smith has fallen in that category.
Yeah, I just,
and that's unfortunate. Right? They traded for 2 guys, immediately made them wide receiver,
and they're better. I'm upset
Isaiah
because
Williams.
I feel like he may have been able to show something, and then he got stuck with Justin. I know football's not fair, but like, I think he may have been able to show some stuff, and then Justin Fields never threw him the ball, and then he never got to show it. So, like, we don't even know if he still has drops or not because he wasn't targeted enough to show if he had drops or not.
I'm assuming he didn't just randomly.
Maybe he improved. I don't know, but we'll never get to know because.
If Isaiah Williams and Alan Lazard and Tyler Johnson are all getting reps, like significant reps over him, it's probably the player at that point. Like it's probably he's just not an NFL player, which I really don't think he is. I think he was a major developmental guy that was probably a practice squad caliber player that you drafted in the 4th round, and that was just a whiff on the part of Darren Muji.
Mustard overlord. It's tough because most of these guys are either A, mid, or B, clones of Will McDonald. There are a lot of Will McDonald clones in the draft this year, like a lot of straight up pass rushers
honestly,
who can't play the run.
Honestly, though, Mike, you clone Will McDonald.
The problem right now with the Jets is they have one Will McDonald. They can just focus on him.
Correct. You give him 2. You give him 2 Will McDonalds. Well, now both Will McDonalds have, I think, a better chance of getting home. I think that's kind of the point.
Like Jermaine's a good player, but he's not the pass rusher Will McDonald is. So when they have to, when it's a true drop back pass set, I don't want to say they're like doubling him like he's Myles Garrett or anything, but they say, all right, if we stop Will McDonald, we can leave that guy on an island with Jermaine and then the defensive tackles.
Yeah. And I do think
he was good. He's a good player. He's just not like going to be a 10 sacks a year guy.
Jermaine had a good game. Will McDonald, he did end up with 2 pressures, but in classic Will McDonald fashion, he missed his only tackle attempt. So the 27.8 PFF.
How do you miss one again? Don't they start at 60? How do you miss one and go from 60 to 27?
Well, if you get 1 attempt and you're 0 for 1,
no, but it's like a minus 40 for 1 play. I don't know.
Their tackle grades are weird just because it's hard. There's such a small sample size, so I don't know exactly how they do it.
Sternbeck, Travis Jones might be middling today, but he could be a Jets free agent target. Yes. That'd be a good one. He developed very nicely in Baltimore.
I loved him. You could probably find some articles that I wrote in the Jet Press wanting the Jets to draft Travis Jones.
He has a little bit of Fatukasi.
I was a big,
I think.
Well, maybe that's for the UConn.
Whatever happened, is
both Connecticut guys. Yeah, I believe so. He was with the Texans for a while. I think he's still with the Texans.
Oh, yeah, good for him.
He's with the Texans.
Brian Sternbeck, Aaron Glenn, Levi, and Wazuriki again, fresh off a missed season due to an ACL tear.
Another Lions guy there. Yeah, he's been hurt a lot.
Well, I do think though the Lions guy they sign is if Quincy leaves, and then I think it's Anzalone, and then Anzalone and Sherwood are your linebackers.
Anzalone makes so much sense just from we to install our defense. We want a guy that can set the tone and play the defense we want to play. Quincy's been
like some leader guy too.
And you know what sucks? Quincy's been playing some really good ball these last few weeks. Like I think since that benching, he's actually been pretty good. Yeah, I just don't think
that's his trick. He benches you for a quarter. That's his.
I guess so. I don't think they bring him back though, unless he takes a major discount, which why would he? Why would he want to take a major discount to stay with this team?
Come back to the Jets.
By the way, early PFF grades, Harrison Phillips, highest graded player in the roster, 89.5. Ridiculous.
That's for Harrison Phillips.
87.2 PFF run.
Was it a 6 they gave up for him?
I think a 6th and they gave up 2 picks.
A swap or something? Or
I think they gave up 2 picks. It might have been 2 6s actually they gave up for him. Like a 6 this year and next year. I think it was 2 picks.
And they get him for next year too. That was
nobody on the offense outside of John Mechie and Alan Lazard were graded above a 60. That's kind of wild. I will see if
you know what? I was just talking to our Vikings guy in between his immense disappointment with JJ McCarthy.
Tough showing.
Oh man, it is. Look, we know bad quarterback play when we see
it. They should get crushed for the Darnold decision. Like I get it, and I'm not even saying it was the wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I would have probably done that too.
I agree.
Hindsight, but yeah,
right. But that's one that they should get crushed for that.
Yeah, I just don't like. Maybe it's my own ego. I don't like crushing guys for making mistakes on moves I would have done too. Like,
Yeah,
Like even Rodgers, I'm like,
I
at the
agree.
time it made sense.
I
Rodgers.
agree. No, I feel the same way. And if I was if we were Vikings media people, we'd probably be defending it a little bit. But also, I think the crushing comes from the fact that you watched JJ, play at Michigan. Then you watched him. The problem is they didn't have a ton of evaluation because they watched him
Well,
play
yeah,
in
because he
spring.
blew his leg out, so
And then
they didn't see him practice or anything.
half the summer. He had half the summer, but they decided off of all of that evaluation that he was the guy, and clearly that's a whiff. Like that's the problem.
Then we got another one here from Mustard Overlord. Feeling pretty okay about Muji so far. Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Right now, I feel okay about this regime. I feel okay. I felt bad about them after 7 games, and the last 4 weeks have been 5 weeks, whatever it's been, have been fairly encouraging stuff. Like stuff where I'm like, I could see the vision, and I think if you got more talent in there and got a better quarterback, the results would be better. Obviously, you have to see that happen, but that's what you want now. You just want a sign that things are going in the right direction, and if the situation had improved and you had better talent in there, then it'd be better. And I think I could say that after these last few games.
The last month and a half, again, I've said this before, all I want to see is, because they're not going to win a lot of games, I want my big takeaway to be this team is coached well and has a good future. They just don't have talent right now. And over the last, we've gotten 2 wins and 2 losses against teams that I want to say Super Bowl for the Ravens right now, but 2 playoff teams. They went on the road and were in the game in the fourth quarter against both of them. Moral victories, but with this team, they just don't have the horsepower to beat teams like this.
They don't.
They may eventually, hopefully, if they make the right moves. Right now, they don't. They have the horsepower to be competitive with them.
The two biggest things preventing the Jets from being an even like friskier bad team are they can't create turnovers. I think that's
at a historic level.
That is the biggest thing, at an historic level, at a level that we've literally never seen before at the NFL level. If you want to be a frisky team that's putting teams on upset alert every week, you have to create takeaways.
If they had
you can't go down
5 interceptions this year, they probably have another win.
Yes, your margin for error is so unbelievably thin.
If they pick off Bryce Young, if they pick off Bo Nix, maybe that turns the tide.
They do a couple of things that make them frisky, Mike. Their offensive line is good, and they can run the ball reasonably well in a lot of weeks, and their special teams is awesome. Those are like margins. I don't even say the running thing is the margin thing, but the special team specifically is a way to win in the margins in the NFL. Another way is you have to create takeaways. Your defense could be bad. Your defense could go up 500 yards a game, but if you're creating multiple takeaways, you're going to give your team a chance to win. The Jets defense, I thought, played all right in this game, but because they can't create takeaways, the margin for error is just so unbelievably thin that they just can't overcome it, which I guess it helps the tank. It helps the tank, but if you want to be a good defense, you have to get players on this roster that can create takeaways. They don't have them right now.
Brian Sternbeck, Eagles will be pretty aggressive on trying to keep Jalen Phillips, but they won't be able to tag him.
I love Jalen Phillips. The injury stuff is concerning, but yeah, if he's a free
agent. On that MetLife turf, oh no. I think he got hurt on MetLife turf.
He did. I love the player. I love the player so much that I'd still consider it.
I wonder how many players the Jets and the Giants have lost to just, I don't want to play on the MetLife turf.
Probably some.
I'm sure that's a thing out there.
It's probably some.
Word gets around.
I'll throw this out there again, just speaking of injured players. I want to bring back Elijah Vera Tucker. I would like Elijah Vera Tucker to be.
And then move him to left guard?
Oh, depending on what you do because you have 3 free agents on the interior offensive line this year. Simpson, Myers, and Vera Tucker. I think you bring back at least 2 of them. That's what I would want to do. If it's up to me, man, who do I bring back? Because if you don't bring back Myers, you're probably moving Tippmann back to center, which, by the way, no one's talking about this. Josh Myers had a major snapping problem these last few weeks. I don't know if anyone has seen that.
No, yeah,
that's been an issue.
Pretty well. He's been regressing.
If this was Tippmann, people would be killing him, right? Joe Tippmann had like 2 bad snaps all of last year, and the narrative was, oh, he can't snap the ball because he was a couple of bad weeks in the summer, right? That was not a problem with him last year. Myers has had more issues snapping the ball these last few weeks than Tippmann did all of last season. So I just want to throw that out there because people were really hard on Tippmann for that stuff. But if you don't bring back Myers, who I think has been fine, I think he's probably it's between him and Simpson that are the weak links of the O-line. You probably move Tippmann back to center. I think if it's up to me, I do that and I bring back Vera Tucker and Simpson. I think Simpson's clearly he's having a down year. I just love his mentality and I love his leadership. That I think they need more guys like him in the locker room, and you could probably get him for a very affordable price.
Myers is clearly the worst player of the 3, but
yeah, this year it's been between him and Simpson, but I think Simpson's a more valuable player.
Sure. Myers just started off honestly, even with that, I think he's been better than we both thought he'd be.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been a major issue.
I just don't like. I think Tittman is really settled in nicely at right guard, so I just don't want to move him too much. I don't want it to be Vera Tucker where they kept moving him around early
I
on.
understand that. I understand that.
Oh, now you're here. Now you're back here. Now you're here.
Look,
Like
you could bring back all three. Their O-line's in a good spot. I don't think any of those guys break the bank, and they have a ton of money to spend. Now, if Tyler Linderbaum hits the market, which I don't know if he will, but if he does,
blank check.
Send him whatever.
They have cap blank check.
What's the highest paid center right now? Creed Humphrey? What is he?
Creed Humphrey.
18 million? What is he? 19 million, 20 million?
I think he's in 20s, right?
I'm giving Linderbaum 25. I'm not even thinking.
25.
I don't give a shit, Mike. I give me Tyler Linder. Do the CJ Mosley deal where it's like, hey man, whatever you want. I'm sure Baltimore wants to keep you desperately. I will give you whatever you want. That's what I'm saying to Tyler Linderbaum.
Pro Bowl each of the last 2 years for Linderbaum. This year he is, where is he in PFF this year? 4th. So, although 28th in pass blocking, that can't be right.
I don't care, man. I don't care.
4th in run blocking though. So there you go.
I don't really care what PFF's saying. Tyler Linderbaum with these two tackles as the core of your offensive line for the next 4 or 5 years, dude. I mean, whatever quarterback you're bringing in is going to be in such a good situation because right now you have 2 cornerstones or 3. I'm sorry, 3 cornerstones, and then Tittman as well. You have 3 cornerstones right now with Tittman, Membu, and Fashanu. Membu, I think, has Pro Bowl upside. Fashanu and Tittman could get there, but I think they're more likely to just be solid starters. Maybe, it's too early. Maybe they take a leap, right? But Membu, just the groundwork he's laying as a rookie, I think he could be.
And he was good today again.
I think he could be.
Fashanu was good today.
You want to
beat once, but
I thought Fashanu was good. I thought Fashanu was definitely good today. He got beat on that. It was Mike Green, I think, beat him one of those times.
Yep,
but
he's kind of coming into his own.
Yeah, but you if you get an all-pro center in there, man, I'm dreaming right now. But you have so much money to spend. If any top-end guys hit the market, I'm paying whatever, right? I'm paying Tyler Linderbaum whatever he wants.
Are there any trade targets you think for receiver and edge specifically?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco. I don't want any part of that. That's the first name that came to mind.
And he's hurt, so no.
Well, that's my point. It's like he might be cooked. I think he might be totally cooked. That knee injury was devastating.
And it was right after he signed.
I know. It was good timing on his part, I guess. If you're gonna get hurt,
yeah.
I don't know. No one immediately. I'd have to scour the market. No one immediately comes to mind. I'd have to look at some rosters around the league. Yeah, no one immediately comes to mind. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll. Darren Muji has done a very good job at getting these kind of, for lack of a better term, scraps from other teams and turning them into viable contributors. The Jets just need high-end talent. They need more high-end talent. Obviously, you just traded away 2 of those guys in Sauce Gardner and Quinton Williams because they didn't fit your timeline and you wanted, extra capital to build around your quarterback. That's why I'm saying if a guy like Linderbaum hits the market, that is a high-end talent. Right? Think of what the Jets did in that 2019 offseason when they went out and got CJ Mosley. They went out and got Le'Veon Bell. I know the Bell signing obviously was a disaster, but Mosley turned it around and had a pretty good career with the Jets.
I think I got one.
And
Linderbaum got one.
Well, and Linderbaum is just such a safe player that I barring disaster and he gets hurt, right? I think he's going to be such a good player for you. I would give him whatever he wants.
What if you take some of the picks from the Sauce or Quinton deals and you turn him into Max Crosby?
What do you think? 2 firsts gets that done?
That's too much, I think. But
2 firsts gets it done. I would say. You don't.
What if you just take the Quinton package and just send it to the Raiders?
Would they take that? They don't want 2
Max?
firsts?
I think so.
They don't want 2. Well, how old is he now? 28, 29, 28?
2029, yeah.
And he's on. What's his contract right now?
I think they did it in a way where they can move him. Like it's. I think he recently. Oh yeah, got extended recently. 3 years.
If there's a will, there's a way. That cap's actually very reasonable. He'd want a new deal, surely.
He just got one last year.
Am I looking at this
3
wrong?
years, 106.
This past offseason?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Look at that. All right. I mean, look, those are very reasonable. I'm trying to.
I wouldn't hate that.
We're doing it live right now. So if they traded him pre-June 1st, yeah,
Jermaine and Max Crosby as their edges.
Am I reading this wrong? I'm looking at OTC right now. It looks like he's got they could trade him and eat no dead money after 2026 and trade him for very little.
Not sure about that. I do know though it'll be tough to run on Harrison Phillips, Jawan Briggs, Jermaine Johnson, and Max Crosby.
Edges. If I don't, it's possible that OTC is not accurate here. It's possible I'm reading this wrong. I don't know. it certainly looks like it's a very tradable contract, and
that's why they did it, because he's been teetering on
and a very reasonable contract for the Jets. Like 20, I mean, so his cap would be 29 million, 27 million, 28 million. I mean, I know that's a lot.
You do that.
That's worth it for Max Crosby. That's not like a crazy, ridiculous contract.
Sternbeck says Drake London.
I don't think they move.
They're paying him
why would they move
dollars.
Stylistically, oh my God, yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
That is everything they need.
Same draft as Wilson too, I think.
Yes, right before Wilson. Yeah, right before Wilson.
You get them both, yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's literally, that is the perfect compliment to Garrett Wilson, is a Drake London type of player.
He might be number one over Wilson, if I'm being honest.
He might. That's your 1A and 1B right there. But yeah, I would be shocked. I don't know why. Why would they move him? Right? Like, why would the Falcons?
Especially if they have. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Penix, but because he's hurt again. But
yeah, but even still, that's the guy you keep. You know, unless Atlanta's like, all right, man, Penix sucks. He can't stay healthy. We need a quarterback, and we don't have a first round pick. That'd be the only way. But like, that'd be a Sauce Gardner.
Shown enough.
That'd be a Sauce Gardner level of shock of just like, why would you trade this player? You know. Yeah, it'd be completely out of nowhere. I'd be stunned if they traded.
With that, we'll call time on this episode of the Jet Press podcast. They are a 2-9 team at time of writing, which will change assuredly soon. They have the number 3 pick in the draft. If the Browns lose, they are winning now, but if they lose, they will have the number 4 pick. Same if the Saints lose. It looks like the Saints are going to lose.
If they win.
The Raiders, the Jets would have a better pick than the Raiders, though. So
yep, that's why I'm rooting for the Browns. If the Raiders win that, or the Browns win that game, the Jets still have the 3rd pick as of right now.
Shedeur 5 of 9, 82 yards and a pick so far. So
I think 50 of those 89 came on one pass.
I will first start on the road, like
no, I'm not trying to like shit on. I'm just okay. Maybe that sounded like an unintentional shot. I'm not trying to take a shot. I hope he does well.
I have no problem with him. I have a problem with his fans.
Yeah, the media coverage around him is crazy.
The media coverage is stunning. It's worse than Tebow, I would say. And we saw Tebow. It's worse than him.
It might be. It might very well be. It's pretty rough. All right, buddy.
There was at least more of a tacit acceptance that Tebow was like. There was never like, oh, Josh McDaniels is trying to make Tim Tebow look bad on purpose. There was never any of that. Like,
well, I think a lot of the Sanders discourse, as it was the case with Tebow, extends beyond the football field.
Oh, totally.
Which was also the case with Tebow as well. So I think that's why you're kind of making that.
It was divinely appointed, apparently.
Apparently so. All right. Any final thoughts?
Greg McElroy. I was at that game. McElroy. The crowd was chanting.
The famous Greg.
And then they won 7-6.
Who did he throw that? He threw a touchdown, right?
He ran for one. It was like a 1-yard scramble.
That's right.
And then he got sacked 10 times the next game and never played again.
I want to do a thing where every week on our Wednesday show, I pull a random Jets game from the annals of Jets history, and I ask you who was like the leading whatever for that game.
Or just like, not even that, just like, oh, remember this guy? Like,
yeah, we kind of use that as a jumping off point.
Remember Austin Safarian-Jenkins? Yeah.
Remember Greg Salas? You know, remember Salim Hakeem
from Hawaii?
Yes. Do you know where Salim Hakeem went to school? If you know that, I'd be shocked.
Absolutely not.
I have no idea where he went to school. Where did Salim Hakeem go to school?
Let's see.
Oh boy, that's that. Tarleton State. Fair enough. That's why.
If you got that, then you're either Salim Hakeem or his dad.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't know what state. I know I've heard of Tarleton.
It's in Texas.
It's in Texas. That makes sense.
Oh, his brother's Zahir Hakeem. Okay.
There's
the great show on turf.
Yo, you know who went to Tarleton State? Jets legend James Dirth
and EJ Speed. So with that, we're going to call time on the Jet Press. Thank you for tuning in. They're 2-9. They're bad, but they are giving a more spirited effort than most bad teams in their situation would. And I think that's a credit to Aaron Glenn. So Justin, take us home.
I agree. But we'll talk more about the future of this team probably on Wednesday, because there's not a lot to talk about with the presence other than the small signs of glimpses of encouragement that we've seen over the last month or so, as is going to be the case for the rest of the year. But anyway, until next time, thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can follow Mike on Twitter at @ByMikeLuciano. Follow me on Twitter, Justin Fried. Follow the Jet Press at the Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast wherever your podcast. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also become a member today. You guys know what to do. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time and live immediately following every single Jets game. Thank you all for listening to Jet Press podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That is Mike Luciano. See you guys next time.
Mike Luciano complete with glasses this time.
That's right.